Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. Retailers, shopping channels, and now even banks have tried canceling myself and MyPillow. Well, during these times, your support has meant everything to us. My employees and I want to personally thank each and every one of you by passing the savings directly on to you. For a limited time, you can get my brand new product, My Slippers, for 50% off. That's the lowest price ever. And remember, My Slippers come with an exclusive 4-layer design. These layers combine to give you amazing comfort and support and help reduce stress on your feet. And with the durable indoor-outdoor sole, you can wear My Slippers anytime, anywhere. I personally guarantee these will be the most comfortable slippers you'll ever own. So go to MyPillow.com now and use the promo code on your screen or call the 1-800 number below to get My Slippers for 50% off, the lowest price in history. And if you do it right now, I'm going to include a free gift with your purchase. Thank you and God bless.
What's up, Cleveland? Amari Cooper here. Glad to be in the city, ready to get to work. Let's go.
Welcome to the Dogs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good, fun, safe St. Patrick's Day. Josh is wearing his green. You can't see mine, but I'm wearing my lucky green thong.
Yeah, he showed it to me before the show, everybody, and yuck.
Let that burn into your brain. If you want to get your intro on the show like Amari Cooper did, head to thedogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the drop-down menu. You can leave us an intro, or you can just drop us your thoughts on the Browns. After this week, I know you guys got thoughts. Ooh. So call into the show, leave us voicemails, let us know what you guys think. Browns have had quite the week. The last 5 days seem like it's been 5 years. We're going to get into everything that's happened for the Browns in the last week, from Amari Cooper to, just on my way in here, a Baker trade. So we're going to cover that, all that and everything in between. Before we get to it, though, remember to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you to everybody who's been checking us out on TikTok. We've grown a lot on there the last couple of weeks. We appreciate that. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Make sure you tap the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, and Google if you prefer to just listen. And if you're looking for more content, head to jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member on our Patreon page. We get extra episodes every week in there. You can get in huge text message chain fights if you want. We got a little bit of everything. There's some very passionate people in there, including myself. But at the end of the day, everybody, we're all still talking. So
at the end of the day, everybody just wants the Browns to win football games.
And that's it. So if you want to talk about the Browns literally 24/7 with people from across the world, we have people from Ireland in there all the way out to San Diego, California. So if you want to be part of kind of an online Browns community that is just 100% all about the Browns, you get an extra episode every week. You get the episodes early. We're going to, we keep sprucing it up as much as we can. We get threads in there going anytime the Browns make a move for people to drop their thoughts. If that's kind of your jive, come hang out with us, jointhedogs.com, become an official Dog Pack member. So like I said, the Browns, the league, I think it was called the legal tampering period or something like that, started early in the week. And that's when teams could kind of get together and talk free agency. They just couldn't officially sign the deals until yesterday, I believe at 4:00.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Browns started the week, kicked it off with a bang, traded for Dallas Cowboys wide receiver Amari Cooper. We fleeced them. And we talked about this, do we let them hit the open market where, we got to compete with everybody, or do we just go trade for them? And, we talked about that on our After Hours episode. And turns out we decided not to go against 31 other teams, traded only a 5th and 6th round pick for Amari Cooper, who is arguably one of the best route runners in the NFL. He's going to fit this system perfectly.
We traded a 5th and a 6th round pick, but only a few picks in the 6th round anyway, because we swapped 6th round picks with the Cowboys in exchange for Cooper. So fleecing is correct.
Yeah.
And we talked about it on our main episode too last week. I know we did because we were asking that question. Do we just go get him? The Cowboys advertised it, made everybody aware that he was available.
Yeah.
They were going to be getting rid of him one way or another. And we said, this is your opportunity to go get a guy at a position that we desperately need help at. And they did.
Yeah, it was a great move by the front office. I know some people after the move were saying, why would we give up anything for a guy that was about to get released? Well, you do that because then it's only us and the Cowboys. If as soon as he hits the open market, it's you against 31 other teams. Now, not everybody's going to be in the market for him, but even if it's you and 10 teams, why do you want to be up against 10 teams?
Yeah.
And then also that Amari, we traded for him. He has to come here, whether he likes it or not.
Yep.
You know what I mean? If we let it go to the open market, we saw, with a certain quarterback this week, we could put forward the best deal ever, and he could still just say no.
Yep.
So this is take chance out of it. You had a chance to go get a guy you identified is a player you wanted and needed to help your team. And the price tag was, that's pretty insignificant, a 5th rounder.
Yeah.
So to me, solid move for the Browns. No matter who's playing quarterback for the Browns, he is. I think I called him one of the best quarterback helpers in the league. Go look at Dak Prescott's stats with and without Amari Cooper. He goes from an extremely good quarterback with Amari Cooper to serviceable maybe at best without him. He is. The drop-off is unreal when he's without Amari Cooper.
When the Cowboys originally traded for Amari from Oakland, I remember that year, and Dak Prescott was a completely different quarterback when Amari Cooper came to town. Instantly. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like they had to go out there and build rapport or go out to dinner together and all that crap. It was, he got on the field and it was instantly, production just went up.
Yeah. Is he a top 3 guy? Probably not.
No.
But he's great. He's
a
4-time, 5-time Pro Bowler?
Mm-hmm.
That was better than anything we had on the roster, at the time. Unfortunately, because of that, we ended up cutting Jarvis. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. As far as cutting Jarvis is concerned, it sucks. I'm not going to lie. He's one of my favorite Cleveland Browns ever, and he will be. And I can't wait till they bring him back and honor him at like a Cleveland Browns Day or something during a halftime. But it's just kind of the way it goes as far as, you weren't going to pay him $16 million and Amari $20 million, especially as much as I love Jarvis, his production didn't really warrant almost $17 million a year.
Well, and that's what I was going to say is, he's one of our favorite Browns players maybe ever, but it wasn't because he produced these crazy numbers. It was because of the culture change, the attitude, the mentality, the leadership that he brought to the team, which is something we've never really gotten out of a receiver, at least in the last decade or something, So that was, but you're right, production definitely not there, and it didn't fit the contract.
Correct. And Jarvis, I think, still has stuff left in the tank where he can go to a team and he's still going to be good for them.
Absolutely will.
He's more than likely not going to get picked up for $16 million somewhere.
No.
Maybe half that. So it sucks. Trust me. Losing Jarvis, it definitely hurt my soul a little bit. Some people might think I don't have one, but I do. and that hurt. It definitely did hurt. I was sad to see him go. But I think the team got better with Amari.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, Amari, like you said, Amari Cooper's not a top 3, he's probably not even a top 5 receiver in the league, but he can be a number 1 receiver on a team.
Yes.
He can carry that, that load, and he's got to be, if he's not the best route runner in the NFL, he's up there. He's definitely one of them. Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that the Stefanski system's built on: timing, rhythm, being where you're supposed to be, So it's a major upgrade. And if we can pair somebody with him. Now Allen Robinson just signed with the Rams. I know that was somebody we were keeping an eye on. But it's looking like there's a good chance the Browns are keeping their first-round pick now, so I think wide receivers still in play, even with the signing of Amari. If you can roll out Amari and then say a Garrett Wilson with DPJ and Njoku, and then you still got our line with Chubb and Hunt, I mean, we're still pretty freaking good.
Oh, yeah.
If not better than we were last year.
For sure. I mean, Amari Cooper already takes us to, at least in the wide receiver room. I mean, I know Beckham was coming back last year, but before we knew what was going to play out on the field, he was coming off, a season-ending injury. So we weren't really sure if he was going to be out there week 1, how productive he was going to be right away. But at least Amari Cooper, we know right at the moment he's healthy.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, serious upgrade. And we'll talk about this later in the show, but there are still quite a few pretty decent names on the defensive line available in free agency. So I still think the Browns are going to add to the defensive line, freeing up that number 1 or that 13th overall pick
to stay offense,
to be that wide receiver.
Yeah. That's what I'm hoping. To get into some more of the moves the Browns made this week, we cut JC Tretter, which a lot of people were screaming about. What are we doing? What are we doing? Again, do I like the fact that we had to cut him? No, he's a really good center. They don't make this move if they don't think Nick Harris isn't ready, or if they've identified somebody in the draft. I think I saw a thing where like a lot of the best centers come out of like the 3rd round. So you know what I mean? So I guess Bill Callahan, I don't know if this is true, but Bill Callahan kind of was like, Nick Harris is ready kind of thing. So if Bill Callahan says it's okay, then I'm okay with it.
I'm okay.
And I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I read that somewhere. I'm not sure where I read it. It sucks. But like we've been saying on this show now for, honestly, like a year, you don't get to have the best players at their position all the time. Like at some point it was going to come to the point where we had to start making tough decisions. And this is why, when we're going to get to it later, why the quarterback needs to be able to elevate people around him and make up for some deficiency somewhere, because you don't get to have, 5 all-pro linemen.
No.
And 2 Pro Bowl running backs.
We talked about that a lot going into the season last year whenever, we were going through free agency and everything, and we were saying, hey, look, we still got to pay, before they re-signed Nick Chubb, we still got to pay Chubb, we got to pay Teller, we got to pay Denzel Ward, we're going to have to pay Baker Mayfield. There's no way we're keeping Jarvis and Odell past this year. One of them's going to have to be gone. We didn't know it'd be both of them.
Yeah.
But we knew that salary caps, we were talking before the show how it's kind of a myth, but at the same time, you're right. You can't just pay every position huge money and just have an all-star team.
Yes. You don't, this isn't the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Your best teams in the league are going to have a couple difference makers on each side of the ball, and then the rest is going to just be really solid role players. You don't get to be all pro at every position. So does it suck that he had to be gone? Yes, but an organization has to make decisions like that eventually, which is why the Browns were in on the Watson thing, because we needed to upgrade at that position because we weren't going to be able to roll out the same team again.
No, and when an upgrade becomes available and it's a significant upgrade, you've got to do your due diligence. Otherwise, what are you doing?
And we're going to get in. Trust us, guys. I know that's what you guys want to hear.
Hang tight, everybody.
We're trying to. There's a whole week of stuff we wanted to talk about before we got into that. So hang tight. If you're really impatient, check your your minute marker or whatever, and just skip forward. But I promise this stuff's going to be good too.
Please come back.
So, and then another signing that I was actually a little bit releasing that was a little bit surprising me, because of not necessarily I thought we were super high on him, but because I thought the dead cap hit didn't make it worth it. But maybe I just don't know how this stuff works. Was we released Austin Hooper, designated it for June 1st or whatever that means. I'm not 100% sure how all this stuff works. I guess if we say we're dropping him, but we don't officially do it till June 1st, then we can use the money we're saving now, but the cap hit's not as hard. I don't know how it works. If you guys know how it works, let me know. But I just know he's not going to be on our team anymore.
Every time I think I kind of understand a little bit about the NFL salary cap, I learn a new rule.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've never heard about that one before. So,
I think, and here's how I know Browns fans are just a little bit, kind of crazy. all I heard all season was how bad Hooper was and how we needed to get rid of him, and Njoku's better. And as soon as we released Austin Hooper, it was just a crap storm of people. What are we doing? We're releasing all our best players. Andrew Berry's an idiot. I'm like, guys, I just sat here and listened for the last 10 months about how everybody thinks he sucks. So make up your mind. But it freed up enough money where between Jarvis, Tretter, and Hooper, we freed up, I think, $30 million in cap space. So let's go do something, please. Now, maybe by the time this comes out tonight, we will have done something. But up until this point, the free agency acquisitions for the Browns have been very lackluster, especially compared to our division.
Yeah.
You got the Steelers adding Miles Jack, signing Mitchell Trubisky, who say what you guys want, but I think that's a great signing by them. They're paying him peanuts. They're paying Mitchell Trubisky less per year than we're paying Case Keenum. So, and he's going to be their starter.
Well, and the thing with bringing in Mitch Trubisky, and it kind of would have been the same for us, but with the Steelers, it's an even more, I don't know if I want to say it's a good situation, but if it blows up, they can just shrug their shoulders and say, we weren't expecting him to be a star anyway.
It's a 2-year, $14 million deal. It's nothing.
Yeah, and if he blows up and it was like, wow, Matt Nagy was the reason he sucked, then the Steelers can say, look at that. We just got a superstar on a cheap deal, and look what we did. So they're in a win-win situation,
Correct.
really. I mean,
the Steelers made the playoffs last year with a terrible Big Ben.
Awful. Yeah.
Awful Big Ben. Now they got a younger quarterback who can move. I mean, Big Ben looked like he was on a walker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, this completely changes the way you have to defend them. Even if he's not all world, he can move. You have to defend that. He can hurt you with his legs. So, to me, that was a good signing by the Steelers. The Bengals have gone out and signed a couple really good offensive linemen. I mean, essentially, that's their biggest weakness.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So, they're, trying to make sure they weren't a one-hit wonder. And then the Ravens signed Darius Smith, but he just backed out. So, I'm kind of hoping the Browns are in play for that.
I'm just glad he's not going there.
Yeah, and me too. But the Ravens are always super smart in free agency and in the draft. So, and then the Browns have signed Jakeem Grant, re-signed Anthony Walker, and we signed Taven Bryan. We haven't. I mean,
we brought back Chris Hubbard.
Those are not big pieces.
Did you like bringing back Hubbard as a swing, backup depth piece?
If he can stay healthy, he hasn't been able to stay healthy the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But it's just I thought we've tried to be aggressive. Obviously, if we took the meeting with Watson, we were trying to go be aggressive. But now that door's closed, let's get going.
Yeah,
because we got some stuff that needs done. And I think the offense, as it stands today, I know the quarterback situation's in question, but I think especially if we go receiver at 13, the offense is better than it was last year.
Does Jakeem Grant coming to the Browns, or us bringing him in, does that kind of give you a sense that they're going to try to use Felton more at receiver?
Well, not only that, but also the fact I think he just wasn't that great at returning at times. And it's been kind of a problem for us, special teams, for a while now. And they were just like, screw it. We're going to go get this guy this is what he's really, really good at.
I don't think Jakeem Grant's a terrible depth receiver.
In the slot, I looked up his stats. I think the most yards he's had in a season is like 340.
Okay.
But he's fast, and you need good special teams. It's a 3-phase game, and everybody forgets about special teams. With the Browns, it was very apparent last year where ask the Packers about special teams. Cost them a chance at the Super Bowl.
Yes, it did.
So that's an okay signing. I liked re-signing Walker. Led the team in tackles, even though he missed games last year. Kind of a captain of the defense, good leader, good in the locker room. I thought that was a really good signing. This Taven Bryan guy, the D tackle out of Jacksonville, to me, it reminds me of the Tack McKinley signing. He was taken in the first round, hasn't lived up to that, but there's obviously something there to see in him that he got taken in the first. And this is just one of those things that AB takes a flyer on, like rotational piece. Talent's in there somewhere to see if we can get it out of him. He's cheap. I think it was only a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, and they're not bringing him in thinking he's going to be the starting guy.
Correct.
So I think it's a good depth add.
So, and then lastly, we traded Mac Wilson for Chase Winovich from New England, edge rusher.
Yes.
Mac Wilson was borderline going to make the team this year anyways. I felt like he was borderline last year.
That's what we talked about.
And as much as I love Mac Wilson, the person, he was not good at tackling.
Nope.
He was just not good. Winovich was kind of falling out of favor in New England. I'm not sure why, but his playing time was decreasing. So I think it's a great move by the Browns. We trade a guy at a spot where we have some players. We got Walker, we got JOK, we got Phillips for a position of need. And Chase Winovich is a high energy guy. I don't think we're not bringing him in to be the every down edge rusher opposite Miles. He's going to be a rotational piece. He's going to be this year's Tack McKinley.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly how I would look at that.
So I think that's a great move to get value for somebody you were probably going to end up cutting anyways.
Yeah, I love it for both. I mean, it makes sense for both teems.
And I like that we traded Mac Wilson to not a dumpster fire.
Yeah, well, I feel
because
like,
I like him. I like him as a person enough where I'm glad that we're sending him to a good situation.
Bill always takes our defensive players that have not exactly lived up to par.
And
always.
Danny Shelton,
Barkevius Mingo.
Yeah. So I thought that was just a win-win for both sides. The Patriots, they always deal with us.
Jabal Sheard, didn't he go there too for a while?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'm sure Mac Wilson will probably end up having a decent career now in New England while he's there.
Win a ring or two.
Yeah. But then when New England sends us guys like Jamie Collins, it doesn't work out.
Jamie Collins played well for the Browns. He just didn't ever play up to the contract.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He was still an above average player at times for us. He just didn't do it at a consistent enough level to warrant getting paid as much as he was getting paid. And then he went back, and he's still good.
True.
That's pretty much, I think that's a nutshell of what the Browns have done this week outside of quarterback, which we're going to get to. Did you want to talk about?
Was that a burp?
Kind of. Drink this Monster. I was trying to hold it in. So we can edit that, right?
No, I think that just adds. Everybody's just thankful that you just belched in their ear.
Yeah. But, did you want to talk about some of these available defensive linemen before we move on?
Yep, let's do it. So we were talking before the show how the Browns, like you just said, haven't made a whole lot of moves in free agency.
Our biggest moves have been trades.
And the attempted trades, right?
Yeah.
But I think we all need to take a step back. Once I looked at this list of available, and I'm just looking at the defensive line because we know that's a big.
I would say your two biggest needs, well, possibly three biggest needs now are D-line. I still think you need another receiver.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And quarterback.
Yep. So rather than freaking out and wonder, well, now do we have to pick between receiver or D-line and at the 13th pick? Well, we know there's no receivers. I'm not even going to pull up that free agent list.
Yeah, they're all gone now.
Allen Robinson was pretty much it. Yeah. Christian, I mean, these guys are gone. So defensive line, recently you got Fletcher Cox, who was just cut by the Eagles, Dante Fowler Jr., Calais Campbell, Jason Pierre-Paul, Akeem Hicks, shout out to Browns by Jacob, that's his guy, Jerry Hughes, Eddie Goldman, and Ndamukong Suh, Carl Nassib. There's other guys like William Golston and Vernon Butler, and Jadeveon Clowney's still out there.
Yeah. I was listening to some Cleveland Browns Daily today, and Jim Donovan was on there, and obviously he's pretty connected with the team, and he said he just is thinking that maybe the Browns are being so patient when it comes to D-line now because they're thinking, that they're going to get him back. Which initially when free agency started, it was that he wasn't going to come back. But like they said, Clowney has a tendency to want to explore the open market only to find out he's not as valued as he thinks he is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's happened like
years.
Yeah, 2-3 times in a row. So best case scenario for us, because I think for the Browns, he holds a lot of value. He played really well for us in the run game, and he almost got to the 10 sacks.
It's huge.
So
huge.
I think if we let him hit the open market and nobody's throwing a ton of money at him, then I think he would come back. He seemed to like his time here. Mm-hmm. He seemed to like playing opposite Miles is good for him. I think if he wants to be he's got to know he's not a number one somewhere. He's a complementary piece. So if we can get him back, in the longer he sits on free agency, the cheaper we can get him back for. So,
and freeing up all that cap space this week like we did. So if we end up having to pay, if it comes down to we got to take some other guy, one of these other guys, or we can get Clowney back for a little bit higher than what we wanted to pay him, now we have the luxury of saying, okay, fine, just do it.
Yeah, what did we have him for last year? Like 8?
I think so.
I mean, we freed up enough cap space. I'd go up to 12 to 13 for him for a year, something like that. I think Ndamukong Suh would be a good pickup. I know he's not what he used to be, and he's kind of a little bit of a tool bag. I don't really love him, the guy, but I don't have to.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Have to.
I don't have to love the guy. He's still a disruptive force on the inside line. He has been his whole career. He might not have been in college. I mean, I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah,
on the D line,
I know.
But he's still a disruptor in the NFL. I would consider Carl Nassib again. Mm-hmm. I think he's another solid rotational piece at the D line.
These Chicago guys, Akeem Hicks on the edge and Eddie Goldman in the middle. I'd look at both those guys.
A big guy on my get list is Zadarius Smith. He backed out with the Ravens. I would definitely make a run at him.
Well, that's true. I'm just looking at defensive line, but if I change this to they've got a separate category for edge.
Yeah.
Let's see who we got here. Zadarius Smith. Who did I not already name? Anthony Barr.
Okay.
Outside linebacker from Minnesota, but that could be a get for the Browns. Melvin Ingram is available.
So there's still
KJ Wright.
There's still some people out there. The Browns are being patient right now, and it's killing me. I'm not usually an anxiety-filled person, and I don't get stressed out by a lot. Yeah. It's been like the most stressful 3 days of my life. My phone battery's not lasting. It's only lasting half the day because I just keep refreshing Twitter.
I know. I said I got a thumb burn the other night from refresh, but it's honestly what it has to do with is this quarterback nonsense that's going on. As far as free agency goes, I know we said last week, look for the Browns to make a splash right away as far as some of these defensive linemen, but they made the splash with Amari Cooper through the trade.
Yeah.
And looking at the defensive linemen that are still out there's no wonder why the Browns aren't rushing to pay somebody too much money.
No, the longer they sit, the cheaper they become.
All these guys get cheaper and cheaper, and the guys that got paid big money were going to get paid that big money. So the Browns, I think, did the wise thing and let them do it. Go get that big money, whatever. Somebody else wants to overpay, let them. We're not going to do it because there's plenty of depth here. If that's the way they're going, which I hope it is, I think it's smart.
So I don't know what the rules to this are, but so the Browns, I just thought of this, by the way. So this is off the cuff. With the Browns freed up $30 million in cap space, Davante Adams said he won't play on franchise tag. He wants to be the highest paid receiver in the league. We didn't get the quarterback. Do we just say, hey, man, we got all the money you need right here, and put Amari next to Davante?
I mean,
so to put things into perspective, $27 million, I think, is what DeAndre Hopkins makes per year, but he's the outlier. Like the next highest guy, I think, is at only 22 to 23.
Christian Kirk just got like 21.
Yeah, and I think that's why Davante won't play on the franchise tag.
When you're paying Christian Kirk 21, yeah, I get it.
That's Jacksonville, though. I don't know what they're doing.
I don't know what they're doing either.
It seems like they're just throwing crap at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah. Not looking good for Trevor Lawrence, by the way.
I mean, he's got some talent now, but they just paid Christian Kirk like he's a 1 and he's a 3.
Slot receiver. Yeah.
So, and I don't know how it works because he's technically franchised, so I don't even know if we're allowed to talk to him. But man, if Davante wants 27 and we got 30, I'd think about it.
I would think. Well, of course you would think about it. I don't think he would think about it.
You know what I mean? Because think about that. Think about
he's
Amari,
playing with Aaron Rodgers no matter what this year.
If he plays, he says he won't play on the franchise.
He's gonna get paid.
They'll do like what Aaron Rodgers is gonna be. He's gonna be like the new the dude from the Mets, Benier or whatever his name is, the guy who's still getting paid $1 million every year from the Mets. He hasn't played in 30 years. That's Aaron Rodgers' contract is so backloaded where if he retires, he can get paid for like years after. So that's how they gave him all that money, but lowered his cap hit. But no, I think the Browns still got options on the defensive line where they can keep 13 free for a wide receiver.
Yeah, so wide receivers currently available, top of the list is recently cut Julio Jones.
So call me crazy, but I wouldn't be in the Julio market.
I mean, I would go sign Julio Jones if I'm okay with getting 3 to 4 good games out of him next year.
And he's got to be, cheap. Yeah. Like real cheap.
I think he has definitely hit that edge of the cliff. Will Fuller's out there. You've got
Fuller can't ever stay healthy.
No, that's the same thing with Julio. Now, and then here you go, guys. So we're talking about, you just heard the list of defensive players that the Browns still can pick from. They've got essentially their pick of the litter still. Wide receivers available. Jamison Crowder tops the list. T.Y. Hilton at 32 years old, and he's never healthy anymore. Juju. You guys want Juju?
No. Juju's probably better than everybody on that list right now, but But
he just brings a whole other world of crap with him. I mean, A.J. Green, Zach Pascal, Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, we've got all these old, washed-up names that they're always injured. The wide receivers in free agency right now, don't expect the Browns to sign anybody except for some depth.
When I see the list of D linemen available and I see the list of receiver, it makes me hope and think we're going to address that defensive side of the ball in free agency. And this is a super deep wide receiver class. I could see us taking more than one.
Oh, I think for sure. I would be shocked if we don't go receiver at 13. Depending on how the draft shakes out, we could go receiver in the second round, maybe third.
Yeah.
But we're definitely coming away with at least 2.
I agree. To me, that's the smart play.
Yeah, especially with the names at the top of that. I know the draft is deep, but the guys at the top,
Garrett Wilson,
so good.
I want Garrett Wilson.
I know.
So
I know. Not going to be upset if that name gets called.
Yep. So that's what I'm kind of hoping. What do you guys want to see out of the Browns going forward in free agency? Do you want to see us address that defensive side of the ball? Is there a wide receiver that we kind of downplayed that you're high on? Let us know. So now the moment you've been waiting for, we're going to get into all the quarterback drama from the past week. Before we do, though, Josh has got to tell us about DraftKings.
So much drama, but before that, college basketball fans, join the action on the court during the biggest tournament of the year with DraftKings Sportsbook. Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. If the Sportsbook is not yet available in your state, you can still join the college hoops action with DraftKings Pools. Everyone can play free pools all March long for a shot at a share of over $250,000 in prizes. Simply join a pool and answer questions like who will make it to the next round and who will hit the most three-pointers, then track your results. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TPPN. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with promo code TPPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. And make sure you guys go out to the Daily Fantasy app as well. Play some basketball. Play some NBA. I'm telling you, I don't know if I like NFL Daily Fantasy on DraftKings more or NBA. NBA is a lot of fun to play.
There's a lot more games.
You can play multiple games, multiple slates every single night of the week you can play, and I do.
So as you can see, Josh is a degenerate.
Yeah, I lost it all.
So that brings us to why you guys are probably all here. Hopefully you're here. Thank you for seeing through the beginning part of the episode. A lot of drama surrounding quarterback in Cleveland right now, which we should be used to considering our history. Obviously, there's stuff that just dropped just as I was on my way in today with Baker requesting a trade. I want to rewind and then just go back to the beginning and kind of go from the beginning, our thought, what we've been thinking since we found out the Browns were going to meet with Deshaun. Guys, I don't understand this sky is falling mentality. Just because the front office is looking to upgrade the team. That is literally their job, is to upgrade. And I know in the Baker fans at this point, it's almost a cult. I'm convinced some of these people would let Baker their wives. I mean, it's crazy. You can't. I said he's the one player on the Browns you can't criticize. I have talked crap about Myles Garrett on this show, and nobody has said one thing to me. Not one. I haven't gotten any negative comments about that. About Myles Garrett, arguably the best player on the Browns, him or Nick Chubb. But I can say something like, Baker isn't elite, and it is a storm on me for hundreds of comments. It is a cult. Guys, it is not that big of a deal for your team to be looking to upgrade the team at every single position. That is what they are getting paid to do.
Yep.
And the Browns front office was up front with Baker's camp at the combine. I was just listening to the radio on the way in. Jake Trotter, very trusted source for Cleveland, said they were very upfront with Baker in his camp. If a top-tier quarterback came on the market, that's who they would talk to. They weren't going to go sniffing around everybody, but if somebody that was considered elite, a Watson, a Rodgers, a Russell Wilson, became available, they would be doing their due diligence on those players.
Yep.
That's all they owe you.
Yeah, I
mean, think about this. Imagine, and people are like, you just don't do this to the guy who won you your first playoff game. Guys, it doesn't matter. Just because he is better than what we have had doesn't make him great, doesn't make him good.
Right. I mean, you say it all the time that the goal every year is to win a Super Bowl. If your goal is not to win a Super Bowl, you're not going to win a Super Bowl. Yeah. Okay, if your goal is just to be, we used to only win 3 games a year. It's great that we're winning 7 or 8. Then get ready to win 7 or 8 games every year because that's all your goal is. You have to have higher goals. How are you gonna reach Super Bowl if you're just hoping to get 8 wins?
Yeah, one of the best analogies I heard was on the radio on the way in. Gerard Cherry was like, you've been driving beaters your whole life, muffler dragging on the ground. And you finally get enough money and you go buy like a 2005 Cavalier. That doesn't mean your 2005 Cavalier is the nicest car on the market just because it's the best car you've ever had.
Yeah, and if the opportunity comes up to get something nicer,
you're going to get it.
And it's within the realm of possibility and you can afford it, guess what? Get it. You're going to get it.
Exactly. It was one of the best analogies I've heard as far as this situation goes. Imagine if a top-tier left tackle came on the market. Say Trent Edwards was available and he was looking to go somewhere and the Browns met with him. Would you guys be like, how could you do this to Jedrick Wills? He solidified the left tackle spot and helped us to the best season we've had in 26 years. How could you do this to him? No, you would be like, go get Trent Williams. He's one of the best linemen in the league. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, guys. And it's not just Baker. I said it a bunch of times. If we didn't make the playoffs, there was going to be major changes. J.C. Tretter's not on this team anymore. Jarvis Landry isn't on this team anymore. Hooper's not on this team anymore. Yep. You don't only win 8 games with that roster and think you're just going to come back and get to do it again.
And I guess I can't say we all did, but I'm hoping that everybody watching this, listening to the show right now, watched the Browns last year. And if you watched the Browns, guys, you saw what the problem was out there.
Yeah,
we all saw it. We saw the defense holding teams to 15 or 16 points and us still losing.
Yes.
We saw Nick Chubb being dominant in the run game again, and we're still losing. There was one aspect of the team that was absolutely horrible.
And that's why people are like, back to the quarterback carousel. Only going to win 2 games. Guys, relax. We won 8 games with statistically one of the worst quarterbacks in the league last year.
Yep.
He was only better than 3 quarterbacks. So he was the 27th best quarterback in the league, 28th, and we won 8 games. Mm-hmm. So the sky is not falling in Cleveland just because there's problems with Baker Mayfield right now. 2, the fact that now he's just a drama machine. So you heard the report that came out that said they want an adult at quarterback.
Ooh, yep.
And that sounds mean. And that maybe that wasn't supposed to get out. But I told you guys there was problems behind the scenes and they were tired of him. So he releases, first of all, who writes a goodbye letter to a team when they're still on the team? You know what I mean? That was just another, Justin's not here today, but even Justin was like, geez, Al.
Well, before you continue with the saga here, let me just interject and say that when that came out that they said, that they wanted an adult at quarterback, ever since that came out, Baker Mayfield has done everything an adult would not do.
Correct.
So go ahead and continue.
So, and Justin's is brown and optimistic and is anybody I know. And even he saw it and did the biggest eye roll. Like, my God, dude. like he said, in his 30 plus years of life, he's never seen somebody write a goodbye letter to a team when they're still on the roster. Jimmy G just played a full season for the Niners after they traded Lance and told Jimmy G he's not going to be the future.
You're not the guy.
Yeah. Tua has been dealing with questions about his status since he was drafted. He literally had to split snaps with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
For the last, year and a half, you can't look up the name Deshaun Watson without reading something about the Miami Dolphins.
Yes.
Being interested or all in on Watson.
Matt Ryan is the best quarterback in Falcons history, probably. Him or Vic. Okay? He's a legend there. MVP, took them to a Super Bowl. He is the son-in-law of the owner.
That's crazy.
They still brought in Deshaun Watson for a meeting.
Yeah.
Like, this is the NFL. If you're not doing everything you can to improve every position, then you're not doing your job.
Yes, and we talked about Jimmy G as the perfect example of this. I mean, the 49ers mortgaged part of their future to move up and get his replacement in the draft last year. And I didn't see, no one saw Jimmy G go to Instagram and post a farewell letter to San Francisco or, request a trade or anything like that. What did Jimmy G do? Took that team almost to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's leadership. That's being confident in yourself and saying, okay, fine, you drafted that guy. That's great. I'm still here and I'm still going to play.
Yeah. It's incredible to me. And, and it's not just us saying this. Draw Cherry on Cleveland radio was really hard on Baker, and he's never hard on anybody. Darius Butler, I was watching something with him, and he was like, listen, it's okay to be mad, but you have to also at the same time compartmentalize and realize that's part of the business.
Yeah.
So it's human. Yes, I would be upset too if I was Baker.
Yeah, and Jimmy G was upset.
Yes.
And Matt Ryan's probably not thrilled that he's going to get upgraded in Atlanta.
And Tua was probably not pumped that he was splitting snaps with Ryan Fitzpatrick and having to hear Deshaun Watson's name every other day. It's okay to be upset. Nobody thinks that Baker Mayfield should just be happy that the team is looking to upgrade his position. It's how you react to your emotions. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are like, well, if I was Baker, I'd have done the same thing. You're not the face of $1 billion franchise. Part of the paycheck for quarterback, whether you like it or not, is your maturity level, your ability to handle these kinds of things in a mature adult way.
So we heard, all season long, and we talked about it every time these reports would come up that there were, disconnections or whatever in the locker room. And we're like, well, what is going on behind the scenes? Because we didn't hear this in years past that much. And now,
I like I said, his shtick, his bravado of it's me against the world.
Right.
It wears thin quick. If it's great if you're winning, but if you're not, it wears thin real quick.
I mean, it's kind of this way in every aspect of life, but even more so in sports when you've got such a tight-knit, you're on a team, and everybody in there is sacrificing their time, their energy, blood, sweat, and tears for this sport, for this team. And if you've got a guy who is making mistakes and won't own up to his mistakes or won't accept any responsibility or any accountability, especially when he's supposed to be the leader of the team, that doesn't sit well with people on the team.
I was listening to the radio on the way in. The word they used was entitled.
Yeah.
He just seems like, it's never Baker's fault. Odell wasn't running the right routes. Stefanski's not calling the right plays. It just wears thin. And then he goes to request this trade. And here's the thing is I'm pretty pro player in the fact where I don't necessarily have a problem with him requesting a trade in the sense if the team is allowed to go look and upgrade, then the player should be allowed to go do what they think is in their best interest. It's a two-way street in my opinion. But if you want to be looked at as like, the leader, all we ever hear is how Baker is awesome with his back against the wall. So what better way then would be to come back and ball out this year and be like, see, you never even should have thought about upgrading me.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, it's just, I don't know. And then he tells the Browns he wants traded. They tell him no. So he calls Adam Schefter.
Well,
and it's the second time
you're missing one little step in there that I want to throw in real quick. So we learned earlier today that the Browns were out of the running. They were told, you're out of the running for Deshaun. He's not coming. I don't know if that came from him, his camp, whatever. They said, you're not coming. So then the report came out. The Browns say, well, we're not done with Baker Mayfield. We're still moving forward with him as our quarterback.
Yeah. Is it we were exploring options?
Yep. So Deshaun was out of the picture. So now they said, well, Baker's still our quarterback. Obviously, he's on the team. And that's when Baker said, no, I want to trade. And it was like, dude, couldn't you just, I don't know, just let it play out?
So Jake Trotter said he originally thought that well, first of all, the Browns said no. Now, I think that there's almost no way Baker is the quarterback next year. I think they said
very
no.
Little
I think they said no to keep his value high. So, we fleeced the Cowboys for Amari Cooper because we knew he was going to be available anyways.
Yeah.
The best way to keep Baker's value high is to be like, no, he's our guy. We want him. And then, people aren't offering us 5th-round picks for him. You know what I mean? But I think we're moving on from him. I think we were moving on from him regardless. Even if Deshaun Watson never became available, I still think we were going to try to move on from him. And there's reports, saying that. But Jake Trotter said he thought if we got Watson, we were going to work with Baker as far as where he wanted to go. So, like, if he was like, hey, I'd like to go to Indy, we'd be like, okay, we'll try to work a deal with them. Now, ship him to Seattle.
Well, and get him out of the AFC.
Yeah. Could you imagine if he, I guess the Seahawks, first of all, I don't think a lot of teams are going to line up for him.
I don't think so.
This tells you what the league thinks about Baker. In order to be able to talk to Deshaun, we had to first present our trade offer, and they had to accept it before we could even talk to Deshaun.
Yep.
They did not want Baker.
Yeah, they were ready and excited essentially to move forward with Davis Mills as their quarterback
over Baker.
So
they would former number over one picks, guy who was from Texas.
Yeah.
So to bring the hometown kid home, and they were like, we're going to roll with Davis Mills.
Yeah. So just give us draft picks. That's all we want. We're good with Mills. You're right, because they didn't see Davis or Baker as an upgrade over Davis Mills.
Correct.
So they'd rather have draft picks and just roll with Mills.
Correct.
Because Mills might actually develop into a decent starting quarterback in the NFL. You don't know.
And I pose this question to people: if we say we were to release Baker today, just release him, how many teams are lined up to sign him to be their starter? They're like knocking on the door, like, we want this guy.
Honestly, maybe Indy, just because they don't have one, and maybe Seattle, the two that were already in the trade talks or discussion about him.
Yeah, I can't really think of any other teams that would be in the running to come get him. First, and so that tells you what the league thinks about him. So that's why the Browns were trying to upgrade.
Yeah.
And I saw these stats. If I don't know of any Browns players, because we mentioned Mitch Trubisky a couple times, and people were like, no, he sucks. Mitchell Trubisky's 29-21 in his career. Baker's 29-30. Mitch Trubisky has a 64% completion percentage. Baker has a 61%. They have almost identical touchdown to interception ratios. Baker has more touchdowns, but he also has more interceptions. The ratio is almost identical.
Okay.
And they have almost identical passer ratings. Mitch Trubisky's is 87. Baker's is 87.8.
Okay.
So for all the Browns fans who are screaming about Baker's the franchise and he's the best, and I had people literally arguing with me that he was better than Deshaun at football. If you didn't want Deshaun for other reasons.
Who argued that?
If you didn't want Deshaun for other reasons, okay. There's no way you can convince me you actually think Baker is better at football than Deshaun Watson. And then in the same breath, you would probably turn around and tell me that Mitch Trubisky sucks.
So the Browns aren't demanding 3 first-round picks plus other picks and players for Baker Mayfield.
No.
That's what Deshaun Watson's going for.
Yeah, I think if we get a first for Baker, I don't think that's going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I think if we can land a decent second-round pick for Baker,
that's a win.
That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Be great.
Carson Wentz just went for 2/3, and he just went 27-7.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a much better year.
Yeah. So I don't understand the sky is falling. we're going to go back to the same old Browns. No, our team is still good. We're still a top 10 roster.
Mm-hmm.
We still have a guy who was coach of the year. We still have one of the best lines in football. We upgraded the wide receiver room. We are better at wide receiver than we were, 4 days ago. So I don't understand this. It sucks to be a Browns fan, blah, 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 blah. I don't get that. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I was talking to some people yesterday and just, of course, talking about Baker and Deshaun. And you kind of I understand where Browns fans are frustrated with seeing all these other teams with quarterbacks. We are too. And I understand that, we took Baker number 1 overall. We just need to keep him as the guy. Because you don't want to see that rotating door at quarterback again and again and again. And I know it's been tough for the last 20 plus years watching that happen. But I'm sorry, guys, it has to happen again. Because you can't just settle for mediocrity because you're tired of the door turning. It's got to keep turning until you get the right guy.
Yeah, and we're not the same. I know people are screaming this. It's not the same franchise it used to be.
Correct.
We are in a way different place than we ever were. We have way more talent in place than we ever were. Our front office is way more aligned than it ever was.
Yes.
Like, we're way different. So before we then wrap this up, so there's a few quarterbacks potentially available if we end up trading Baker. I would say possibly Winston. That's Jameis Winston. Possibly Jimmy G. Possibly Matt Ryan. And then number 1 on my wish list, and it's probably still far-fetched, but I don't know why I'm holding on to hope for this, is Derek Carr.
Yeah.
Who would you want if you had to get one of those guys?
Okay, so if those guys were all possible options, I would take Derek Carr first because I think that Derek Carr on this team is playoffs, Super Bowl possibility.
He's already played with Amari.
Mm-hmm.
I think Derek Carr is criminally underrated.
For sure. And I think he's a great leader. He's a great competitor. And he's just, when you watch him on the field, he's not the most flashy or the, most overly talented quarterback I've ever watched play football. But man, when he plays so well.
He can move. He can make the throws. He's a good leader. I think he leads the league in fourth quarter comebacks.
We saw that last year.
Like the anti-Baker. Baker in the fourth quarter when we're losing is the worst quarterback by a lot.
Yeah. So as far as trade, I mean, I know like Ryan would be a trade unless they cut him.
Mm-hmm.
And
so best case scenario is Watson goes to there and they have to get rid of him.
Yes. And so for me though, taking trades off the table, I'm in the Jameis Winston quarter after our discussion a couple episodes ago and just doing some more research into his stats and kind of, his career that he's had. I think he's an underrated quarterback. I really do. And if you guys missed everything we talked about with his stats, go back and watch that. We even have like a short out there about it. I mean, his stats are actually really good. He had one of the best rookie seasons of all time, over 4,000 yards and 20-some touchdowns. I mean, it was great. Yeah. Low interceptions. So Jameis Winston get it done. We saw last year in New Orleans, he had, I'm trying to remember, like over 1,000 yards. What was it? 14 touchdowns, 3 picks through 7 games. Mm-hmm. He was 5-2 with that garbage New Orleans roster last year.
At least on offense.
Yeah. Their offensive roster was awful last year. So if Deshaun Watson, which right now it looks like, at least from what I read last, he's leaning toward the Saints, or the Saints seem to be in the driver's seat of this thing. That does give Jameis Winston, I don't want to see him go to the Colts.
No.
I'd like to see him come to the Browns.
I agree. My thing with if you could trade for Carr, then that's a long-term solution to me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I think the rest of these guys, Jameis,
I think Jameis could be a long-term, but it's a risk.
But you wouldn't sign him to that initially.
Correct.
I think Jimmy G, Jameis, and Matt Ryan, I'm perfectly fine with either one of those three as a year stopgap. Because if you look at the free agents going into the following year, there's more free agents that are going to be available, and the draft class should be better. So if we have to, and people screaming about, they're not upgrades over Baker. Respectfully, yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And Jimmy G, if it's Jimmy G, he can get us to. Is he going to win us a Super Bowl? Could he? Possibly. He almost did.
Well, that's
once.
the thing is, how could you say that, Jimmy G's not an upgrade? He could easily take the Browns to at least the AFC Championship game, if not a Super Bowl. He did it with San Francisco. He's done it before. Yeah. He can do it again.
So, Matty Ice had his best season ever under Shanahan. Our systems aren't identical, but they're similar. Mm-hmm. Run first, tight ends, that kind of thing.
Yep.
So I think he would be good in our system. I think Jameis would fit in our system. It's an easy system for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So I think those are the options, other than unless there's somebody in the draft they identified as somebody they want, which I'm hoping not, because I want to go receiver.
Yeah, we need those weapons. We do.
But I think those are pretty much the options that are available. We'll see what the Browns do. They said they're staying with Baker. Jake Trotter said he'd be absolutely shocked if Baker's on the team next year, but he also said he doesn't think that this is just going to be done tomorrow. Like, this could drag out a couple weeks.
Well, I think everybody's waiting to see what happens with Watson.
Yeah.
Kind of see how the pieces fall from there. Because, the ripple effect of if he goes to Atlanta or New Orleans, it's different both ways.
Yep. So, yeah, that'll tell you who's available. Because if he goes to Atlanta, Jameis is probably going back to the Saints.
Yep.
And then if he goes to the Saints, Matty Ice is probably staying in Atlanta.
Right. And just because if he goes to Atlanta and Matty Ice becomes available, the Colts are trying to they need a quarterback. Yep. They've got a very good team. They're just a good quarterback, a decent quarterback away from really competing. And the Seahawks. Now,
I did hear, I don't know if this is true, I heard that the Colts would be willing to give up a first-round pick for Baker. If that is true, I'm on the phone right now. Because where are they picking?
It can't be true because Baker's still on the team.
Because if that was true, they're picking probably around where we're picking, right? They didn't make the playoffs.
No, they didn't. No. They're probably they had a better record, though.
So, they got to be in like the 13 to 16 range, somewhere in there, right? What could we do with 2 picks in that? You know what I mean?
Wilson and Olave.
Yeah. So something, him and another defensive guy. So if that's true, I don't know if they'll do it, but I would make that. The only thing stopping it is maybe they don't want to send him to an AFC team, but I'm not going to lie, I'm not really worried about that.
The Colts are picking, where are they at here? The Colts do not have a first-round pick.
No, so that was a lie.
Unless it was like a next year first round.
Okay.
Philadelphia has the Colts first-round pick, and it is 16. So you were right about that. Okay. It's just not theirs anymore.
Well, let's call Philly. But no, so we'll see what the options are going forward. Relax, pump the brakes, Browns fans. The sky's not falling. We're still a top 10 roster. We still have a returning coach of the year. We still have a Hall of Fame offensive line coach. We're fine. We are fine. We're returning a top 5 defense, with the exception of if Clowney doesn't come back. Almost everybody else on this defense is all the important pieces are back.
Mm-hmm.
The offense, whether you want to admit it or not, the pass game should be better with Amari Cooper. Even if it's Baker back, I would say that it's going to be better because he's a great route runner and a great receiver.
Yep.
We still have a top 3 offensive line. Calm down. Just because if Baker's gone and we have to roll with Jimmy G for a year or something does not mean we're all of a sudden going to be a 3-win team.
Yes, everybody take a deep breath. I know there were big splashes made in free agency this week, but if you look at it, the big splashes were in positions that the Browns don't need to make big splashes in. And we read the list of defensive line options that are still out there. It's long. There's a lot of them.
And we still have a draft coming up.
Yes, which we're going to be getting into here in the coming weeks.
Yep. So take a deep breath. I know it's been a lot of drama. The sky's not falling. If you're one of these super big Baker fans, I understand that this is a tough time for you. Relax. It's going to be fine.
And I get it because I was too. I loved Baker. I was all in. Remember, I beginning of the season, I was like, this is it. He's taking the leap. He's going to be elite.
You predicted him to be MVP.
In the running. I said in the running. Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here and deny what my eyes are telling me.
Yes.
All season long.
And I know he was injured, guys. But the problem is he's had the same issues now for 4 years.
And if anybody who uses the injury as an excuse for Baker, you got to dismiss it immediately because he wouldn't use it as an excuse. Baker every week said, injury's not hampering me, I'm fine. And then he'd go out there, get his butt kicked and suck for a whole game. And then the press conference say, "Oh, I'm just really banged up." Which is it, dude? Which is it? Is it bothering you or not?
Well, and explain the Chargers game to me then.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He must have the pain pills must have been extra strong that game. Explain the Bengals. After the Bengals game, when Odell got released and we killed him, and everybody was like, see? It was Odell's fault. Look how good Baker is. And I remember I got on here and said, calm down.
I know, you did.
And people said I was a hater. And then how good was our offense the rest of the year?
Not very.
So, relax, guys. We're going to be all right. I think the Browns, even though it's been a Twitter crap storm, honestly, our offseason hasn't been that bad so far. We added Winovich. We signed a special teams guy who's going to help. We re-signed our starting linebacker. We re-signed a swing tackle. We added a good wide receiver. We freed up $30 million in cap space so we can go make more moves. Clowney still might be back. We're going to be fine.
Yep, Browns aren't done. I think we're just getting started, honestly.
I believe that too. These guys, and if you don't like me, that's fine. Nathan Zegura is pretty well respected, and even he's on Twitter saying, guys, relax. This front office has a plan and a process, and they know what they're doing.
That's the one thing. I've seen a lot of this anti-Andrew Berry stuff recently.
Yeah, but 5 days ago, he was a genius, if you remember.
I'm going to go on the last. Now, if it was just 1 year, I would be skeptical. It's been 2 straight off seasons of very smart, very calculated moves by Andrew Berry, bringing in the right players at the right positions for the right prices, and it's worked out on the field. Give him a break, guys. It's going to be okay.
Yeah. Relax.
Yep, relax. I know it's tough.
To quote Aaron Rodgers, relax. Oh, man. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Hopefully we covered everything you guys wanted to cover. Hopefully we didn't make some of you guys too mad. I know we probably did. But it is what it is. Let us know what you guys think of everything, of all of our signings. Is there anybody out there still available you want? I know we touched on some of the D linemen. Let us know what you think about the quarterback drama. Do you think they need to try to work it out? Do you think it's too late and he's gone? If he is, what do we get for him? Who do we bring in to be our quarterback? Do we find a long-term answer? Do we find a one-year stopgap? Let us know what you guys think. You can either comment on YouTube or TikTok. Even better, call into the show, leave a voicemail, dogspodcast.com, tap leave voicemail in the upper, in the drop-down menu. Let us know what you guys think. If you're a Dog Pack member, we'll see you on the after hours. And to everybody else, we will see you next week. I will see you guys possibly, I'm not sure when. Next time you see me, I'll be a father. So
early congratulations. Blake may be coming virtual to the show for a while.
Yeah. I'll have hopefully a human child to take care of for the next couple of months.
Hopefully it's human.
Yeah. But appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you guys when we see you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dogs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at the Dogs Podcast, and become an official Dog Pack member and join thedogs.com.